right, everyone, if you have a question for Coach Sampson, please raise your hand. We'll get to you. We'll go to Matt first, and then we'll go to Chris in the back.
I know you knew Dusty. You know Dusty.
Yeah.
Just thoughts on the man deciding not to grind it every day.
Job well done. You know, his class, his character, everything he represents is, you know, it's a role model for all of us. You know, it's been one of the highlights of since he's been here is just getting to know him. Because when I was a little boy growing up in North Carolina, my parents would take us on, you know, a 2-day, they call it vacation. We leave Friday afternoon from our home in Pembroke, North Carolina, and drive down to Atlanta and watch Hank Aaron and Dusty Baker and Ralph Garr, Atlanta Braves. So he was just so getting to know him when I got here was a big deal to me. You know, I always thought Dusty was a lot older than me until I saw his age. I said, we're not that far apart. So, but Dusty's what's good about baseball, you know. So, good man, did an unbelievable job here. What is he, 2 innings away from going to 4 straight World Series? It's pretty good.
Kelvin, when you talk to the students, you talked about you know, being on the doorstep, you know, knocking on the door for a national championship. Is it how much of a driving factor is that? And you know, did you bring it up?
Probably not as much as you think. You know, I mean, I certainly don't define my career by it. You know, building teams. I mean, you think of the coaches has never been to a Final Four. Far better coaches than me. You know, like John Chaney from Temple, Gene Cady from Purdue. I mean, you can go down the list of all the great coaches that never made a Final Four. So if you're basing your career on that, then it's pretty shallow. You know, the impact that I've had on these kids' lives and the impact they've had on my lives, that's what I'll remember the most. Not what I accomplished or didn't accomplish. That's that's not coach speak. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You know, I've had been around tremendous success, but once you I've had teams I thought were the best teams in the country that year at that time. You know, we had a sprained ankle one year that cost us our point guard. We've had some years where I thought we could advance and had a couple of injuries, so you can't control those things. I mean, you got to get lucky and be playing good at the right time, but you got to get there. Getting there is the hard part. You know, it's hard. You know, but I've been at places where you make the tournament every year and you start becoming a victim of your own success too. They forget how hard it is to make it. You know, I remember being at Indiana and Michigan. I remember playing Michigan one year, and I read in the notes that Michigan had not been to the tournament in 6 years. Then you realize how hard it is to make the tournament. So all of a sudden you go to a school that hasn't made the tournament in 20-some years, and people want to know about a national championship. That's how different, that's how quickly attitudes change. I'm not a fan. I know how hard it is to make the tournament. So the goal every year is to make it, not to win it, make it. If you win it, that'd be awesome. But to win the first game is hard. Win the second game is hard. You know, how many one seeds last year didn't get out of the Sweet 16? Who was it? Us, Alabama. Who was the other one seed? Kansas. Kansas, Purdue. There you go, right there. 4 1 seeds didn't make it out of the second weekend. It's not easy. That's why would we like to win one? Absolutely. And we do keep giving ourselves chances. You know, it's like Tiger Woods said about those majors. You know, if you can just get to the Sunday of the back nine, you have a chance. That's all you ask for. Just have a chance. And then you got to have a few things go your way, but you never know. But right now, I'm just trying to figure out who's going to be at practice today.
Kelvin, you're regarded as one of the best coaches in the country. You're now entering into a conference where there's coaches with similar pedigrees and success. I know you always stay the same, but what's it like for you knowing that, like, you know, the coaches have gotten better and with the X's and O's and game plan, just with your preparation and things like that?
Nothing. It means zilch to me. Just like me coming into the league really doesn't mean anything to the other coaches either. You know, when the game starts, you know, we played. What's our record in the NCAA tournament, Jeff? You know that? You should know it. Look it up for me. Just since I've been here. I mean, Jesus Christ, Jeff. It's not like. Come on, man.
Our record in the NCAA tournament since you have
Yeah.
been is, I know I've got it.
Who's the teams we beat? Okay, well, let's, yeah. Just spending too much time on women's golf. I'd say, who have we beaten? San Diego State lost the buzzer beater to Michigan. That was the first year, right? Second year, Georgia State beat Ohio State, led Kentucky in the final minute, lost at the buzzer. So that's Michigan, Kentucky. The next year, beat Big Ten champs Illinois, beat the Pac-12 champs Arizona. So, you know, the adjustment for us is the same as the other teams. You got to play the teams in front of you that night. You know, you get to the NCAA tournament, you know, you're not playing a NAI schedule. Everybody's playing the same teams. So we've done that for 5 or 6 years. But it's the every night thing. But you know, those things don't keep me up at night. You know, who's our next game? You know, conference champ last year lost 13-5, went 13-5, and I'm sure those 5 games there's 2 or 3 more that they could have lost, and there's 2 or 3 more they could have won. But that's the way the season goes. You know, I remember the first year they built the arena at Texas Tech. We played in there 12 times, 10 times, whatever. Played in Manhattan 10 or 11 times. Been to Allen Fieldhouse 10 or 11 times. Texas probably 12 times. Oklahoma State 12 times. Colorado, were they in the league? No, they're not this year. Iowa State had some amazing games at Hilton Coliseum. So, you know, for me, going to the Big 12 is everybody knows how good everybody is. You know, you get asked about it all the time, but you know, I don't get carried away with it one way or the other.
Big 12 being as stacked as it is, and you know, in most people's opinion, being the best conference in basketball, what have you done to, you know, get your team ready for this transition from AAC to the Big 12 now?
Nothing specific to that. We had a scrimmage last Saturday. You know, you prepare your team every year the same. I don't. You know, we have our core principles that we want to be good at, so I try to be good in those areas before the scrimmage. Then after the scrimmage, you'll do poorly in something that you get exposed in. So your practice plans are based on the things you need to work on after that. So Saturday, so this week it was, you know, it's like shoring up problems. You know, sticking some putty in a hole. You pull a window off. You pull a picture off the wall. You know, you got a little mark there. You got to put a little something in it to then paint over it. That's what this time of the year is about. But you know, it's and every coach goes through this. You know, we lost 3 starters. You know, you just don't grab 3 new guys and put them in and think they're going to replace them. It takes a while. You know, Jarris Walker, pretty good player. You know, number 8 pick in the draft. Marcus Sasser, pretty good player. Number 25 pick in the draft. Tremont Mark started every game for us last year. Pretty good player. So we're having to replace those guys. Trust me when I say this. I'm a lot more concerned about that than the league we're playing in.
We'll go to Randy here in the back.
Hey, Kelvin. Obviously, your team's loaded with talent. Just specifically,
I don't know about that.
you got some good players. Specifically, if you could talk a little bit about what you've seen the growth in the game in this offseason leading into this new year.
Our team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically, Shed
Yeah.
and J1, maybe if you don't mind talking about those and how
Yeah.
they've developed their game a little bit more in the offseason.
Yeah, well, I see their warts every day, so you guys, I don't know, I think we had a little red-white scrimmage before we left to go to Australia. Some of you may or not have seen that. But, we've had today's practice number 23, if I'm not mistaken, 22 or 23, and a scrimmage to go with that. If we were a 25-story building, we're probably on, building's got 25 floors in it, we're probably on floor 7 or 8. We'll be moving up. You don't start on the 25th floor. You start at the first floor, and it's floor by floor, and you cannot skip floors. This elevator we're in actually has a 13th floor. You don't go from 12 to 14. Everything is done incrementally. Then you earn your way to the next floor. I'm not I like going from A to B to C, but I may spend 5 days on A because I don't like the way we're doing it. I want to be really good at something. I don't try to be good at 10 different things. You watch the game, if somebody's going to come in on the rebounding, the free throw shooting, three-point shooting, shot blocking, ball handling, ability to attack a press, our zone offense. Think about all the things you got to be. We're not very good in a lot of those right now. I don't play zone much. I'm not saying I've never have. I've played zone in the past, but we haven't played zone the last 25 days. So if a team runs a zone against us, how do you think we're going to look against it? So somebody's going, their zone offense isn't very good. Really? You're right. It's probably going to be terrible. But we'll work on it. We'll get better. Whatever it is we're not very good at tomorrow or next Monday, we'll get better at it. Eventually we'll get to the next floor. We'll get to the next floor. But this team's capable of getting up there to the top floor. But it happens at our own pace. And if we happen to lose a couple games on the way, after 35 years, doesn't bother me. I understand it, how this thing works. It's like, we've got some tough games coming up, non-conference. We'll see how we do in them. But I do think this is a pretty good team. We're going to be a pretty good team. Whether it's tomorrow or next Monday, probably not. But eventually we'll get there. It's been our track record at least. But Shed and Jamal and J1 are they're just good players. They're good at what they do. Both of them were really good last Saturday at times. I experimented a lot last Saturday. It's not like you got a top 7 and you play them and try to win the game. I don't care about that. If I wanted to impress somebody with the score of the game, I'd schedule somebody that we could beat by 50. And then you run around here looking at a sheet of paper saying, boy, they're really good. Well, how do you know? You didn't see us play. But I thought our freshman, JoJo Tugler, played well. He's a guy that can play either front court spot. He just he's going to be good. It's not a matter of when. It's just a matter of, or not a matter of if. It's just a matter of when. He just needs experience. It's amazing how many people see kids in October, November, and make a statement, put a period at the end of it. Everything you see in October, November, and December, put a comma beside it. Don't ever put a period, because there's a thing called growth. They're going to be a lot better It's like I used to tell Joseph Duarte and Mark Berman, these guys when I first got here. January and February basketball is a whole lot different than November and December basketball. And in March, you know, there's a lot of teams that are written off in October and November by ignorant people. But the good thing about ignorant people, they can be educated. Now, stupidity, I can't do a thing with you. Yeah, I can't help stupid people, but I can educate ignorant people. October and November is when you're learning your team. Emmanuel Sharp, Terrence Arsenault, they're much better players today than they were this time last year. But they would be better this time next year too. You know, they just need to continue to evolve. L.J. Cryer, now Damian Dunn has been out, and Damian will not play in the game tomorrow. We're going to hold him out because he's got a really bad ankle injury. He's been out, I think he's been out about 2 weeks now, and I'm not sure when he'll be back. But, you know, we've had some, you know, Rob Gray had a really bad ankle injury. The year Kyler Edwards was here, he had a bad ankle injury, and Kyler's is, I'm sorry, Damian's a little bit like that. Malik broke his fifth metacarpal on the top of his left hand. He had surgery, and he's been out for a month. But he's starting to come back, so we'll see. So we, like all teams, you deal with injuries, and you figure them out, and you move on.
We have time for 2 more questions. We'll go to Josh and then Stone. Okay, Josh.
Hey, Coach. How's it going? You got Jamal and Jawan here. Just how much have you seen them? What's the biggest way you've seen them grow throughout their time with the program since they got here? And what's it like for you personally as a coach to kind of witness that evolution?
Well, when they got here, you know, fortunate for them was the team they were on. You know, especially Jamal. Jamal was a freshman on the Final Four team. And so he got to go against Dejan Giroux, Marcus Sasser, and Quentin Grimes every day. And I really thought that helped him. He got dominated early. And then by the time we got to mid-January, February, he started giving it back to him. And I heard Quentin and Marcus and Dejan talk about how good Jamal's going to be. And we saw that, even though he didn't get to play much that year. And when he did, it was either in a blowout or whatever. That team probably had a lot of blowouts. But you can see him. And now he's gone from being that guy to being this guy, just like Marcus did. You know, one of the things I like about our program is like last year, we started 5 kids we signed in high school. You know, Jamal, Manor High School in Austin, Juan from over in Killeen, Jairus from IMG, Marcus from Red Oak, and Tremont from Dickinson. So that's tells you a lot about what we value. We value development. You know, Jamal nor J1 was the player they are now when they got here. Matter of fact, we redshirted J1, and he needed that. He's benefited by it. But just the ownership they take in the program. You know, they sit in the back of the class and don't say much when they get here. And all of a sudden, by the time they leave, they're helping me with teach the class. They sit on the front row, and when somebody has a question, they can turn around and answer it. That's one of the things I love about having kids for 4 and 5 years is the development they show. And that's not just as a basketball player. It's also as a young man, you know, figuring out life and the things that it'll throw at you and using the lessons that they learn in our basketball program to handling some of the things they'll face in life. And those two guys are tremendous faces of our program.
In terms of scoring guards, you had Marcus Sasser last year, or for the last few years, and then LJ coming in here. How did things change on offense with LJ's skill set compared to maybe Marcus's?
None. I mean, You know, we had 5 guys on NBA rosters on opening day. Armani Brooks with the Brooklyn Nets, Nate with the Rockets, Quentin with New York, Jarris with Pacers, and Marcus Detroit. 4 of those guys played the same position. They all played the same position. Now LJ's playing that position. So nothing changed with any of those guys. And there's none of them, in college, I don't think any of them was better than Corey Davis. You know, Corey didn't get drafted, but there's not a lot of difference in Corey Davis and Marcus Sasser Corey's senior year. Corey was an assassin. He was a great two-way player. That's what made him unique. Thing about where LJ is evolving into is being a two-way guy. You know, Armani averaged almost 7 rebounds a game. I mean, he blocked a lot of shots from that position. Quentin evolved in being a lockdown defender. He guarded the other team's best player. Marcus, two-way guy. He guarded the other team's best wing guard at his size. Size is irrelevant when you're tough. And then you got guys like Corey, outstanding two-way player. I didn't mention Dejan Giroux. You know, he could guard the point or the score. When we beat Syracuse in the tournament, he's the one that guarded their leading scorer, Boeheim kid. So, that's LJ's lineage. And offensively, LJ's his own guy. You know, he's very talented, and he's a shot maker. There's a lot of guys that can make a shot, but they're not shot makers. You know, ball doesn't go in naturally for them. And I didn't mention Rob Gray. Rob Gray might be the best natural scorer we've had since we've been here. He's a natural shot maker. He left here as the all-time leading scorer in the history of this conference. So that's been a really, really, really strong position for us. So the adjustment for LJ will be just to keep evolving. He's getting better. He practices the right way. He wants to be a good defender. He's really trying at it, working at it. When you keep showing up with the right attitude and the right effort every day, you'll be there.